Okay, when I first heard of this movie, the first thing that came to mind is I said, okay, this is gonna be a very retarded kids movie. In all seriousness, Dinosaur Island. What can I say about this movie? What can I not say about this movie? It's definitely a kids movie. It is a British production, Australian production. Yeah, it is a 2014 British Australian production film, directed, produced, and written by some dude named Matt Drummond, and starring 2 kid actors. They look about teenagers, so like 12 and 14. So let me just tell you right now, do I recommend this movie? It's gonna be a hard. You gotta be really bored. You gotta be really bored, or you need to have a baby to be able to see this movie. Why I saw this movie again? I recently saw YouTube Movies, the subscription channel. I've been on YouTube since 2005. I've never even heard of YouTube Movies, but dude, they got like a collection of just random and somewhat solid movies. So I'm checking everything out right now, and they're hit or misses. Basically, this movie's about a little boy who's in a British classroom. He's way too smart for school. My parents are divorced. He's going on a flight to somewhere. I don't remember where they said. He's going on a flight somewhere to go see his dad. His plane crash lands somewhere, and he gets stuck on an island. He meets some white girl, and she's been there for a bunch of years, and she tells him that you basically landed on some fantasy island where random people come, and some crystal center there. It's yeah, you start losing it right there. But something you do notice about this movie is the CGI and the visual effects are decent. They're decent. I did some research on the movie. I'm on the Wikipedia page right now. The guy Matt Drummond apparently owns a visual effects company. He basically just has his own team, and when he made this movie, the best way I could describe it is, yes, there are lots of dinosaurs. The best way to describe it is the visual effects are decent. They're above decent, and it looks like you're watching a History Channel episode of dinosaurs walking. If you ever watch the History Channel of dinosaurs, and you see that kind of decent CGI, where it's not Jurassic Park, but it's not terrible, it's decent CGI, it's that. You see those type of dinosaurs. The dinosaurs in this movie are very interesting because they do incorporate the real life dinosaurs. The dinosaurs actually have feathers, and the dinosaurs, what they look like in this movie is what they look like in reality, not the Jurassic Park dinosaurs where they're reptilians and they're like no feathers. A big selling point of this movie too was apparently on their Wikipedia, they said that this is the first ever film in history to portray a Tyrannosaurus Rex with feathers. Let me tell you something. Forget the T-Rex. The T-Rex is in this movie for 5 minutes, and he chases them for a minute, and then they fend them away because they get on top of a shipwrecked boat. The characters, the boy, you don't really care about the boy. He's very whiny. The girl is actually likable. She's very smart, very intelligent, and she has this pet little dinosaur named Mimos. She has a pet dinosaur named Mimos. It's like a little baby velociraptor that she raised, and it's only a year old. Very cute. The way this dude directed it, the only thing in this movie you care about is that little dinosaur Mimos. Everything else you don't really care. CGI, when they blend in and they start touching the dinosaurs, that's where you start losing. You're that doesn't look that good. Something that was very distracting, the ADR, dude. The ADR is terrible. Let me show you an example.
Asking me that. Man, I must have hit my head harder than I thought. You were actually quite lucky.
That's exactly what I'm talking about with what I mean by the ADR. The ADR is it's in this whole movie. It's basically what Matt Drummond, I think he did, is he recorded the whole movie, and he was man, the audio is kind of jacked up. Can you guys come to the studio and just repeat all your lines, and I'll just edit it into the movie? And it's yeah, So it's you're watching it's like a bad Chinese movie, bad Hong Kong cinema. The directing is subpar. I mean, these kids are basically the only 2 kids in this whole movie. Really, you see the mom for a second, and oh, I forgot, he's going to go see his dad and his grandma, like anybody cares. At this point, if you're watching this far into the video, let me get into spoilers. So spoilers, He's gonna go see his grandma. The boy's gonna go see his grandma on the plane. Grandma and dad in the plane. Plane crash lands. He gets into a lost island. Meets the girl. He goes up to the girl and he goes, "Hey, what's your name?" And she goes, "My name's Catherine." And he goes, "Oh, okay. What's up, Catherine?" She goes, "But you can call me Kate. I like Kate better." He's with the girl. They're like talking exposition, talking about what the island is, what they think it is. Exposition. They end up trying to leave to go find a crystal that'll get him back to his home world or something, get off the island. They end up getting caught by like some African people and some tribe people. They get locked up into the cages, and then they break out of the cages, and then they get to the crystals. They finally get to the crystals. Apparently a dinosaur tracked them down, and he kills Mimos, the little baby velociraptor. I fucking lost it right there. I was like, that's the only thing I care about this movie. I lost it when they killed Mimos, and then they end up fending off the dinosaur away, and then they look at Mimos, and then Mimos actually survived it, like, because that dinosaur bit him, but he survived getting bit. And then the kid ends up activating the crystal, and the girl freaks out. Oh, because she had a book. She has a book. The girl has a book in the movie, and then she goes, "Wait, my book, I forgot my book." And then the boy's like, "No, come with me, like, let's leave this island." The girl's like, "Oh, I need my book. And then mind you, this whole movie, you're kind of thinking like, wait a minute, are they going to hook up? Are they going to kiss? Are Kate and the little boy going to kiss? Nothing like that happens. No romance happens in this movie. Nothing. You don't need a nada. The boy only ends up going back to time. It's confusing. He ends up getting back to where he's from. He ends up waking up in the hospital when he activates the crystals. His parents are like, "Yo, you survived the plane crash," and he's like, "I had a terrible dream, this and that," and his mom and his dad are there, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry, it was just a dream. You're on like a dinosaur island." This is the biggest thing that I was like, "Oh, you caught me on this one. I didn't see this shit coming." His grandmother walks into the hospital. And she goes, "Hey, grandson, how are you?" And he goes, Grandma, it's good to see you." And he goes, "Grandma Kate, it's good to see you." And I'm like, "Grandma Kate?" And she goes, "Hold up. I brought a little present for you." And she gives him a book. And he goes, "A book?" And it clicks together that Kate from the island, who was a teenager, she ran back to go get her book. And she didn't make it back in time to the crystals. Apparently, she got her crystals back, and she made it back to reality, but she made it back in like 50 years before. And then like they ended up insinuating that Kate ended up being the boy's grandmother. So it's kind of like that Back to the Future stuff where it's like, dang, like, they never implied it. Nothing like that, like I said in the movie. But it's kind of thing you thought where I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because then he would have been trying to bang his grandma, you know. Like, I'm like, all right, cool. So spoiler alert, I'm sorry, like you were gonna see the movie anyways. It honestly gets a C+ for me. Kids movie, not for my demographic, whatever. Honestly, if I had to give my opinion, it's as if the director Matt Drummond, it's as if he saw it's as if he saw Journey to the Center of the Earth, he saw King Kong, and he watched the TV show Lost, and he's like, let me combine these three, and let me make my own little British movie. C+ for effort. Appreciate you guys. See you later. Oh, Abel. This is a ring light, Abel. This is a ring light. And it's also a good looking camera, so you use your little crappy Android phone. Be careful, it won't look this good.